Today, as it was mentioned, is the final conference of this BIObec project. Quite a lot was already said about the background of the project. We tried to introduce a bit more into the details of the project itself before leaving the floor to the final contents of our results and activities. So, as said, the project was funded by BBI. And the title you see here concerns the creation of bio-based education centers with the intention to meet the needs of industry and also beyond meeting, increasing the contribution of the bioeconomy to societal challenges. Yes, it's going to finish in 1 month, more or less from now. And this is maybe something good because it means we are now at the stage where we can show results. I just wanted to stop 5 seconds on the composition of the partnership of the consortium, because I think it's quite important to mention that this is done by quite a variety of different types of institutions. Some of us, as in case, I'm professor at the University of Bologna, so it's an academic partner. We have some other university and institution, namely beside the University of Barcelona, Autónoma de Barcelona, I should mention the university involved in the EBU. But also we have several other university, but also other kinds of bodies, including communication or clusters or network close to industry interacting with us. I will not mention everybody just to avoid to waste time, but I think it's important to consider the kind of collaborations we have throughout the consortium. I think Nelo and also Giovanni already explained a lot in the background. Of course, there is something more, and the more I want to mention relates to the fact that we are in a period of tremendous innovation and tremendous question marks about education and training themselves. Of course, the world is changing fast. We have big challenges. We have very uncertain futures. We have surprises in terms of what is happening in the world every year. But we also have a lot of doubts and challenges concerning how to educate people, how to train, or maybe even this wording is not up to date anymore. We have an issue in understanding how can people learn to deal with uncertainty and to answer very complicated needs from the outside world. And this is a process where also we as academic bodies are asking ourselves what is our future, how we should do, and we are also looking a lot to collaborations, and especially we are aiming at integration with industry and society as a whole in terms of working together to make sure people learn along their whole life. Now, I think this is important because this is a complementary background to the project itself, where we don't see education centers as simple instrumental places where we can teach something to potential new stuff in the bio-based industries, but actually as something much more complicated, where we try to match the needs of industry, the needs of citizens, the needs of young or non-young people that actually will be the basis of a workforce. The idea of the project, the objective, the general objective, is not to create centers. That was not required by the call, but is to create a framework for developing and in the future to establish bio-based education centers, which are multi-level in principle in geographical terms, but also flexible to answer needs, current needs and future needs of industry, as well as of the local, regional and national ecosystems. This general objective is actually specified in 5 specific objectives, which are to start with an understanding of the needs. Of course, this is not new, but we wanted to adapt it to our kind of concept. to start designing the centers, so also business models that may be viable for these centers, and then to provide the detailed governance plan, learning programs, feasibility assessment, and also calculation about budgets and financial feasibility. And using this as a learning process itself to provide a strategy to roll out, to replicate, and to disseminate information on what we have been doing, especially to support others to do similar things in their context. And of course, this requires quite a lot of involvement of stakeholders, motivation and co-creation activities with potential players. And this is not in the slides, but a key feature of our project has been to create a network that we call the Implementation and Replication Working Group, where we actually involved a network of institutions in helping us discussing how these centers could be designed and how they could be replicated and possibly, implemented and possibly replicated in the future. Well, these objectives, at least the first four, map quite directly in our methodology that was based on understanding regional needs, designing centers, understanding the feasibility, and planning some rollout, replication, and implementation. And just to make things easier, this is exactly the structure of the remaining of this event. So you will see 4 presentations after mine that basically has these 4 steps. So I don't think I will spend much more time on this. If we will mention work packages in the next presentations, just to make again things very, keep in mind that they map one-to-one to the 4 steps of the methodology and of the objectives themselves. So this is a summary, but I will not spend much time into the details. If a work package is mentioned, just keep in mind that the number reflects the order of the presentations. But before I leave the floor to the colleagues, just a couple of additional things. First, we have been discussing a lot about the concept of center that we wanted to use during the writing of the project and even more during the implementation of the project. And still now, I think this is an ongoing project when we deal with actually practical aspects coming to potential implementation. And the idea we had was to try to follow the concept of knowledge or virtual knowledge centers or knowledge centers, where actually the main point is not so much to deliver training directly or only to some extent, but the main point is actually to connect different kind of needs and interests to facilities and processes that are already there, and especially to the needs of individual potential benefiting of this. This is quite a flexible concept, maybe an undefined concept, but you will see later better what it means and what it can provide. The other point is that we didn't work just conceptually. Actually, based also on the topic, we try to be very practical, identifying since the beginning 6 potential centers to study. These centers, which are summarized in this slide, actually concern a variety of different situations. First of all, they cover different parts of Europe with different history, different backgrounds. Think, for example, to the Central Eastern Europe or Nordic compared to Mediterranean centers. But they are also differentiated in terms of level of action. In some cases, they are directly thought to be international centers. In other cases, they more reflect national or even regional needs. And partly in connection to this, some have, well, all of them have also some orientation in terms of sectors. Some are more actually cross-cutting through the bioeconomy. Some are more specialized in connection to local conditions. And again, in connection to the local need, they reflect different stages of the learning process. So all of them actually try to make interacting different areas of education, which I think is something very important and goes in the direction that also Neil was mentioning before. I don't think I will spend much time on this. These are some of the contexts that you can use if you want to have more information.